Coming up next on The Jeff Crilley Show, you'll meet a best-selling author, speaker, and coach. He's going to teach us all how to become unstoppable and create the life we deserve. He's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show.
My father gave me some great wisdom one time. He said, son, inside your brain is a little screw, and if you turn it half a revolution, everything changes. And what he meant by that was half a revolution from fear is determination. Think about all the great athletes that go into the fourth quarter. Tom Brady, they're down by 20 points, and they have fear, certainly, but they also have determination. Somebody who knows something about that, Darin Kidd, he's an author, speaker, coach. Mostly he's my friend. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I want you to tell the story about how all this began for you.
Sure. So it was 25 years ago. My wife and I have 5 kids, which I always warn people, listen, if you work from home, that can happen if you're not careful. And the 24-year-old, when he was born, we were on Medicaid, applying for food stamps. You know, I'm a college dropout. My wife's a college dropout. And it was a day that I walked into the bedroom. Everything came to a point, and I closed the bedroom door, walked over to the closet, and I was dragging this big old Coca-Cola plastic piggy bank out of the closet, where I told my oldest daughter, someday we'll go to Disney World. You know, put your money in this piggy bank, and someday. And one thing that I learned, that someday leads to a town called nowhere. And here I was on the floor with the change all over the floor, just trying to get enough to eat. I'd been to the doctor for depression, and she walks in, sees Dad taking her money for Disney, and runs out of the room crying. And I just remember going, you know, God, how could I get this low, you know, where I'm bankrupt, car repossessed, college dropout, can't keep a job, doctor for depression. You know, everyone knew that I'd failed in life, and something clicked. At that point, it hurt bad enough. And I walked into the other room and I wrote on a 3x5 index card, I will until. And I put that on the wall and I go, whatever it takes, I will be unstoppable. It doesn't matter how many times I get knocked down. My family deserves a better life. And a friend of mine said, Darin, success is buried right underneath frustration. And I go, well, I have to be close because I can't get any more frustrated than I am, you know, right now. But that was the day that everything changed. I drew a line in the sand, and that was my mindset. And that's the new book that I wrote, I Will Until.
What I love most about that story, Darin, I know you've told it 1,000 times, but every time you tell it, you go back into the bedroom. His eyes got glassy when he tells that story. Let's talk about your book. We're going to put it up on the screen. I Will Until. That's such a great title. Tell us, give us a couple of secrets that are in the book.
Well, you know, one secret is a lot of the times we look at, you know, challenges and obstacles as something negative. And what I learned on that day is that challenges and obstacles are our friend. You know, if you do not elevate unless you have obstacles, obstacles lead to elevation, and it's not the easy times that make us grow. You know, we don't grow in easy times. And when you have that mindset and you start asking the right questions, like, you know, what can I learn through these challenging times? How can I not just go through it, but grow through it? And that obstacle is a blessing in disguise because it pushes you out of your comfort zone to go do things that you've never done before.
Yeah, and Darin walks his talk. I know that the speaking industry was just devastated by COVID. All of a sudden, overnight, you know, livelihoods would dry up. But you read your own book, you eat your own cooking. So tell us about COVID and how you adapted.
Yeah. So what's fascinating is, you know, over the last 3 decades, I've had, you know, franchises. I've, you know, was in the network marketing for 28 years. I had, you know, e-commerce, online. I had multiple businesses, but the speaking career all started and I had everything lined up, big speaking engagements, and that was the month that everything shut down, right? Not the easy times that make us grow. It's an emotional roller coaster. And so again, I had to ask myself, look, how can I add value? How can I serve other people? How can I adapt? And a lot of times it ends up being the best thing that ever happened, to us. And so the last 2 to 3 years, I've grown more than I have in the last 10 to 15 combined by just making a decision going, look, I will until I'll figure it out. And it makes you innovate and get very creative, but it's been a blessing in disguise.
Yes, and I know you started out in network marketing and you've moved into other industries. I urge everyone to follow Darin on social media. He just gives away the gold, like this tip here.
Remember, it's a process. Do not try to close them on the spot. You don't try to ask them questions, pretend like you're interested, prospect them, and then try to get them started in your business all at the same time. That's not the way it works. Remember, this is cold market. It's people that you don't know, you don't have a relationship with. Also, if we talk long, we talk wrong. So I'm asking them questions, and then we get ready to walk away, go, hey, who do you know? Or, I'm expanding in the area with my business, or you're using something they said to invite them to look at information. But if we talk long, we talk wrong. And if they ask you, hey, so explain to me what you really do, you've got to be at the point where you can go, hey, look, I would love to, but I've got to run. Or I would love to, but it's mostly visual. I would probably confuse both of us if I try to explain it here in just a few seconds. But I have something I can send to you that will do a whole lot better job than I do. And again, it may or may not be for you, but you may know someone that may be interested.
Amazing tip, and there are just hundreds of them just like that. I know I came from the news business, and the news business is famous for scaring people. Right now, the drumbeat that we're all hearing is that at some point in the next 12 months, we go into a recession. We keep hearing that people are getting deep into credit card debt. So there's a lot of fear out there. What's your advice to somebody who's watching this right now, and they are figuratively on the floor with that piggy bank going through their kids' change?
So many things I would love to share with you. Let me see if I can dial it down to just a couple. A lot of the groups that I'm involved in, they're people that are worth, 500 million, 700 million, $1 billion, and all of them are saying the same thing. Look, the next year to 2 years is going to be the most challenging times of our entire life. However, wealthy people look at it differently. They go, hey, look, the biggest transfer of wealth happens during a recession, during a depression, and during wars. We have all those things going on right now. However, if we get comfortable, if you look at Netflix and Blockbuster, Netflix tried to sell to Blockbuster for 50 million, and Blockbuster's like, no, we don't. They literally laughed them out the door. So if we don't innovate and work on ourselves, then we can be extinct pretty quickly. Later on, Blockbuster, bankrupted $1 billion in debt. So my recommendation is the same thinking that got us to where we are, and the same things, behaviors are not the same thoughts. The same thinking that got us where we are is not what gets us to the next level. We have to think differently. We have to act differently. And so it's working on ourselves. People go, look, what's the best investment? Is it real estate? Is it Bitcoin? Is it whatever? I'll tell you, I'm not a financial advisor, but I will guarantee you the number one investment you can make is in yourself. So now's the time to invest in yourself, to work harder on you than you've ever worked before, because we get paid as entrepreneurs on the value that we bring to the marketplace. And now is the time to really work hard on you, because jobs, my daughter-in-law works for a company, 150 employees. They just laid off 120. She stayed. So you've got to be so good. And years ago, this was a game-changing turn of the screw, like you mentioned earlier, for me going, you know what? I will work on me so hard, knowing that I don't get paid what I want. I get paid what I am. And if I want to make more, I have to become more. And I get paid based on the value that I bring to the marketplace. I'm going to work so hard on me that anyone would do anything to have me in the future, and I never have to worry about it again. And that was one of the best decisions I ever made.
And the speaking business has made a big rebound here in the last couple of years. We're going to show his speaker page, and I was so impressed as we scroll down this. I recognize so many people there. Dr. Fab, obviously, Les Brown, Grant Cardone. You hang around some pretty cool crowd.
Yeah, I'm very blessed. That's another tip. You become who you hang around. Show me your closest circle. I will show you your future. And when I became very intentional on my associations, And we think that we're stronger than our associations. They're going to work harder on us than we work on them. They're like an elevator. They lift you up or they bring you down. So when we ask ourselves, hey, what are my associations doing to me or for me? We have a little different perspective. So I've been very intentional on getting around people that make me uncomfortable. Getting around people that think bigger. They have bigger visions, bigger dreams, bigger goals. And you will find a lot of times, again, we become the average of the people that we associate with the most. And we start to raise that internal, that glass lid in our own head where we only get what we feel like we're worth. Well, when you hang around people like that, you start to go, man, they're human just like I am. They make mistakes just like I do, and it makes a world of difference.
Absolutely. So give some advice to the person who's struggling right now. You mentioned you can't, it's the story that you tell yourself. Because if you're telling yourself you can't do it or we're going to crash and burn, you get exactly what you tell yourself, don't you?
Yeah. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And, growing up as a teenager, and I had amazing parents. But yet I was insecure. I only weighed 142 pounds when I graduated high school. I got bullied. I grew up with OCD. I was worrying all the time and I was angry. I was just a crazy kid, but I didn't know how to think. I didn't understand how important it was to think the right thoughts and to be careful what you speak. So here's what's fascinating, Jeff, is our brain doesn't know the difference of reality and what you tell it. So when you visualize an experience, your brain produces the same chemicals and endorphins as if the experience actually happened. So you can experience an experience before you ever experience it. Now the science is backing up all of the things. What we think about, we truly do bring about. And so the way that I look at now, and explain to my kids, and when I speak to kids and teenagers, this is the most powerful supercomputer ever created. So when you fuel the right things, so I'm very careful of what I listen to, what I say, because what you think about, what you speak about, to me, it's like I'm painting tomorrow today. And when you think the thoughts and speak the words, they're seeds. You're going to reap the harvest that you sow. And when you speak those, they go out and serve a mission. They don't come back void, right? And so when I really started focusing on, okay, I want to reprogram my brain. And for me, and Jeff, I tell people I'm a hot trainer. And I know some of you look, no, you're not. You're really not that hot. That's why I told them before we started video, and hey, look, the farther away you get, the better I look. And I'm like, can you put some makeup on? They're like, Darin, there's only so much we can do with that head, right? But it's just fascinating how I grew up. I tell them I'm a hot trainer, honest, open, and transparent. That's the hot part. Okay, squirrel. And when I just didn't think I could do what other people were doing, I would see these entrepreneurs and go, man, they must come from a big city. I live in a small town. They must have, a college education. At that point, I had a lack of education. They must be great public speakers. I'll pass out in front of 5 people that I knew. But then when I started going, okay, can I get a little bit better today than I was yesterday? Can I read 10 pages out of a book a day? Now, for me, that's a challenge because my mind wanders. I'm thinking about 50 million things, but that's about a book a month. So in 10 years, you've read 100 books. Most people hadn't read 10. And, listen to 15 minutes of an audio. So now I have daily habits and rituals because we're never going to feel like it the majority of the time. People go, hey, I just want motivation. Well, motivation doesn't have anything to do with us going out and kicking butt and taking names and accomplishing our goals and dreams and making sure that we create a better life for our family and living toward, our God-given potential. And so for me, it was like, okay, I can do that. I can get a little bit better. Well, 1% better a day is 37 times better in 1 year. Not 37%, 37 times. So every day I consume hours of content. I've invested multiple 6 figures this year in education, right? Because me going out every time when I had franchises, I did things, and the guys like Darin, I've never seen anybody do what you just did because of the business principles that I've learned along the way. So every day we're either growing or declining. We're climbing or sliding. We're green and growing or ripe and rotten, however you want to put it. Maintaining is a myth. And for what's coming the next 12 to 24 months, it's time to step our game up. It's time to be intentional about our associations. It's time to get very intentional on what you really want, having clarity, because what you think about, you bring about. What thou seest, here thou beest. Bob Proctor, the late great Bob Proctor, said if you can see it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. So I could keep going, but you can tell I get excited because so many people, they're not living up to their potential.
Yes.
So when I can go in and help that individual, that entrepreneur, that company, go, hey, listen, we need to think outside the box, because sometimes we can be enslaved by the people around us and we can't even see that. You break away from that group, you break away from whatever, and you're like, how did I not see that? So now is the time to get something we've never gotten. We got to do something we've never done.
We've talked about your book. We've talked about your speaking career. Let's talk about coaching. What does a great client look like for you?
That's fascinating because it's changing, every day. I've got doctors that I mentor and I coach because they went to school to be a doctor, not marketing, right? Not business growth. I've got real estate agents. I've got big companies. And then I've just got individual entrepreneurs like, hey, look, I know that I need to go out. And to me, it's smart. I remember years ago, and I actually just hired one of them again. I was in a company and I'm like, look, I got to think outside the box. And you ask yourself the right questions because the quality of our life is determined by the quality of questions we ask ourselves. And I go, how can I compress time frames? How can I shorten my learning curve? And I wanted to learn social media. I hired one of the top social media in Forbes strategists. Blew it up to hundreds of thousands of people. I go, okay, YouTube, I want to create some evergreen content, but I don't really know how all that works. Hire one of the top 20 YouTubers in Forbes, blew the YouTube channel up. And so for me, it's finding people that have what I want. I'll guarantee you none of you raced to find Jeff after this interview and go, hey, can you please tell Darin I want to find out his best top hair care tips? You're not going to do that, right? But if you buy people's opinion, you buy their lifestyle, and it's amazing how many people ask people that do not have what they want. So when I stopped hanging out with people that had the same problems that I had, started finding people who had the solutions and the life that I wanted, everything changed. So your answer for coaching, when I can find something, you're going to learn it one way or another. I can learn the business that you're in, it's going to take me decades. The second way I can learn it is pay you a lot of money and shave years off my learning curve and pay for your experiences. So that's why when people hire me to come in with their company as an entrepreneur, and first of all, I find out, hey, what do you really need? And if I'm not a good fit, I tell them, because I want to under promote and over deliver. I want you to be so blown away by what I help you do that you can't help but tell everybody else about it. So I know that's not an exact answer, but that's kind of it's kind of morphing into different things every day.
Darin, I could listen to you all day. We're almost out of time, so let's give the audience an action step or two. Final thoughts. What would you like to leave them with?
Final thoughts. That book that I wrote, it's not a long book. It's the type of book that I like to read. I call it snackable content. So it's 100 pages, and if you take out the forward and all that, maybe it's 70. But pretty much anywhere you open up that book, there's nuggets, golden nuggets that can help you in any area of your life. Because that's one thing that we look at as entrepreneurs. We focus on the business, but we don't focus on the entire wheel of life. It does us no good. I talked to a billionaire, and you're like, Darin, so many people make a mistake. They sacrifice their health the first part of their life to gain wealth. And then the second part, they go spend the wealth trying to get back their health. And so for me, and I spoke at an event, actually you were at the event, and there was one guy in the room, his company's done 30 billion. And I go, look, I see myself as the wealthiest person I've ever met. And they're all looking at me and I'm like, to me, success is not just about the money, but I love the fact that I'll turn 50 in a few months. I feel better than I did in my 20s. I love the fact that my wife and I will be married 30 years, coming up in January. So for my spiritual life, I've never been happier. I've never felt more passionate. So if you want to check out the book, it's iwilluntil.com. And there's some free resources and stuff on there as well.
Outstanding. We're going to end with the website. Again, iwilluntil.com. The great Darin Kidd. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.